Well, welcome to the BNI Effect, the home of amazing conversations with normally with Brisbane BNI members sharing tips on how you can get the most out of BNI. I'm Tony Meredith, and ordinarily I'm a business coach, but today I'm your host and fellow BNI member. Now, today's episode is just a little bit exciting because today is episode number 75, and I've got a very special guest with me today. I'd like to introduce you to Frederick Marcoux, who's the owner and CEO of BNI Australia. Welcome, Frederick.
Thank you so much, Tony. This is a great opportunity. I'm excited to be on the 75th podcast.
Well, let's kick it off by talking about that. What does it mean to you, the fact that we've achieved 75 episodes of the BNI Effect?
Look, it's incredible what this community is like. Okay, this community is full of beans, and here you are. You're just giving your time, and you're doing BNI. Why? Because you're a member of a community. You want to contribute. You want to give, and so that's what it means to me. It's a great example of what we call in BNI givers gain. You give and you expect nothing in return. And so thank you so much, Tony. That's dedication. 75. This is not a small effort. This is a big effort. And just thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. Well, how did you first get involved in BNI, Frederick?
So this is what happened. Quick story. In 1996, my dad immigrated to Australia, and I was a professional services, guy, doing corporate finance consulting work. And in 2000, my dad decided to come out of retirement, and he didn't have a network. And so he started to read up about networking because he thought, I need to network. How do you build a network? Networking is kind of a new thing back then. And so he read the world's best known marketing secret, which is Ivan Misner's book. And at the end of the book, he went, okay, where do how do I get involved with BNI? Where's the nearest chapter? So he went to the end of the book, and there was the phone number of the CEO or the owner or national director at the time. Said, give me a call. And so he gave him a call, and the guy said, there's no chapters in Perth. You need to start one. And so my dad went, okay, how do I do that? And over the next 3 years, he launched 30 new chapters in Perth. And so how I got involved was I was watching him. I was watching him have the time of his life. Okay. The phone would just start ringing, in the morning, and it would stop ringing in the afternoon and late in the afternoon. And all he was doing was placing people in chapters. That's all he was doing. And back then, BNI didn't really know what they were doing. Okay. But it's such a great idea. It's such a great concept that it worked despite BNI not really. I mean, they knew what they were doing in other parts of the world, but in Australia, not yet. And so that's how I got involved with BNI. Oh, well, actually, that's part one. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. So part two is fast forward another, few years, and I'm thinking, I want to get involved in this. I'm jealous of my dad. He was having a ball. I was working for, doing consultancies for the ACCC and doing all sorts of things that, were great, but they were really killing me inside. I wanted to help people, real people, not organizations. And I was dealing with, lots of large organizations with, all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to help people. And my dad was doing that. And I was thinking, how am I going to get involved? Because I didn't want to work for my dad. So then one day we were at dinner and he said, BNI Australia is for sale. Are you interested? And I went, that's it. And I bought BNI Australia in 2007.
Wow. Fantastic. And so then how did you go working with your dad?
Fine, because we were colleagues. It was wonderful, and he was finding his way, I was finding my way. We were finding our way together. We brought in over the next 5 years. We brought in all the expertise we needed from the United States, and we got to understand how to do this business together. Not just together, me and my dad. It was just, me and my dad and the whole executive director team at the time. And so it was amazing because this wasn't this is not, this is a unique business, and it's a unique business, and we have passionate customers. And so we went on to this journey, which is now, started 18 years ago.
That's amazing. So when you purchased the national business, how many chapters were there back then?
There was 173 chapters, about, just under, 2,700 members, something like that.
And so then fast forward to today. So how many chapters are there today?
There's 277 chapters,
Wow. Wow.
and we're going to hit 7,000 members in just a few weeks.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
In that time, so since 2007, I mean, can you share a defining moment in your BNI journey that shaped your perspective on networking?
Um, well, there's a lot of defining moments. Okay, yes. Okay, so shape my perception of networking. Okay, I'll focus on that.
Yep.
Um, so I just gotta say it, it's the members, right, that take us to school. Okay, BNI, we're just the custodians of this, human experience, and we've just custodians of the framework, the system. Okay, and there was a defining moment. It was about 2013, something like that. There was a massive flood in Southeast Queensland. And I remember seeing the photos of, destroyed businesses, and um, and the members were full of mud from head to toe, helping each other clean out their businesses.
Wow.
Okay. So for me, that was a defining moment because I realized that this wasn't just any kind of business community. This was a this was a very strong knit, you know, um, group of people helping each other, and it was more than business. Okay, but it is business, right? This is a business thing. It's all about business. It's all about results and all this, but it transcends that. And that was a moment when I really understood what this was,
The power of it.
the power of it, and also, the resilience of it. Like, why was this business so resilient, even though, we weren't as always as good as we needed to be. BNI, the organization, wasn't always as clever, wasn't always as good as it needed to be. And yet, we just, yeah, we kept growing all the time, and it was pretty, and well, that's why. It's because of this culture that and the relationships, the bonds that are created.
So just building on that, what do you believe makes BNI different from other networking organizations?
All right. Well, the other day I was at an event, in Melbourne, and this lady, Michelle, she took me aside, and she said, Frederick, I got to tell you, I've been networking for a while. I said, okay. She said, you know what's different about BNI? I said, tell me, She said, when you're networking in BNI, you speak to someone and they are always trying to help you by connecting you with someone else. And it's not like that in normal networking circles. That's not what it's like. In normal networking circles, it's can I do business with you? Do you need my service? You don't, goodbye, move on. Okay. That's generalizations, I know, right? But that's what she said. This is a member, a newish member who was new to BNI, and realized that. And networking. People think networking is about you selling to somebody else, and people hate networking because they're being sold to. This is what's going on out there, Tony,
Mm.
over and over again. People think networking is selling, so they don't want to do it.
Mm.
When in fact, networking is not about you. It's about how you can connect someone else to someone in your network.
mm,
That's what it's about.
mm,
And guess what happens if you do that over and over again?
mm,
You become a connector in your community. And yeah, people will think of you. And will they take your call? If you've connected them with someone
mm,
that was amazing and solved their issue,
mm,
are they going to take your call?
mm,
Absolutely. Will in fact, in BNI, they will be activated, in BNI and in the world, they will be activated to help you in return. Okay? And this is what we call giver's gain, right? Giver's gain, yeah. You give, you expect nothing back, and you watch what happens to you.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Are there any other misconceptions about BNI that you'd like to clear up?
Oh yes, absolutely. So one misconception, right, is that there's a bunch of rules. Okay, that's another misconception. Okay, so okay, you might want to call them rules. It's okay if you want to call them rules, but they're not rules. What they are is how you do things well,
Mm,
how you do things in a smart way, right? And it's not always obvious, right? It's not always obvious. So the members have come up with these practices, okay, that are, good for you to undertake when you're networking. And so there's a bunch of good practices when you're networking, and there's a bunch of good practices when you're doing BNI, because the BNI is about accelerating the development of your network. Okay, this is what it's about. It's about creating a really powerful network and going really fast. Okay, it's a really specific thing that you're doing is by building your network. Now, if you're going to be building your network in BNI, there's a bunch of rules. Maybe you want to call it rules, but there are a bunch of practices that will make you go faster. Okay, and so yeah, you might say, well, Frederick, I have to be there every week. That's the rule. Well, actually, the reason it's you should be there every week is because if you're there every week, you have a chance to
mm,
be really, really successful.
mm, mm,
Okay? You have a chance of getting a lot of new business. And if you don't attend every week, you've got no chance.
mm.
And so is it rules? Yes, it is, but it's really, good practices, like if you want to be successful, pay attention. Don't think of them as negative rules. Think of them as, you know, good advice.
A fast track to success.
Fast track to success. If you want success, that some people, the good enough is close enough is good enough. And that's okay too. But if you want to be gnarly and successful as quickly as possible, follow the best practices.
I love it. Fantastic. Any other misconceptions that you want to clear up?
Um, so, well, um, uh, it's BNI is the cheapest marketing you could ever do.
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
And so, yeah, there's a commitment. We want your commitment. So there's upfront, amounts that you need to pay. And that seems a bit steep, but there's many people that spend that amount, on advertising every month.
yep.
Okay. And, you know, so BNI is actually really, really cheap. Okay. And also, if you stick to networking and you build a really powerful network, okay, um, your life will be easier.
Mm,
Okay. And so it's cheap, right? And it's there not to make your life harder, it's there to make your life easier. But you need to build a network for that. You need to build relationships. So you need to give that time, okay? Because not everybody that you meet you're going to click with. And that's true of networking, and that's true in life. It's normal. And what's going to have to happen is that you're going to have to find these people that you click with,
mm,
and then you're going to need to do the right activity with these people over and over again. okay, over a period of time, and you will have business connections, for life.
Mm.
And the number of people that tell me that, they're still doing business with someone they started doing business with 20 years ago in BNI is insane.
Mm. Mm. How
Yeah.
does BNI help businesses not just survive but thrive in today's economy? We've gone through some tough times over recent years, and some businesses are still going through that. But how does BNI help, Frederick?
Well, if you're in business, business is about people, right? People buy people. Yes, they buy a service or a product or whatever, but really mainly, like for example, I do business with this lady called Kim and another lady called Tamra, right? My lawyer and my director of technology. And I like them. I like them, right? And of course they do a good job. So first you got to do a good job, and then but then eventually, if you're doing a good job and you're not fun to be with, or you're not, clicking, it's not going to work. Yeah. So sorry, I got involved in too many stories,
No,
and
that's okay. No, it's more just around how BNI helps in today's economy and just helps with some of those
okay,
smaller
well,
businesses.
okay. So no matter what economy,
Yep.
right? If you have a powerful network,
Mm.
you will thrive.
Mm.
No matter the economy. The founder of BNI has a great story about, how when there's a recession on, I'll steal your story, Ivan. There was a recession on, and he was at a networking event, and he came across this real estate agent, and he was really worried because he heard from all the other real estate agents how the market was terrible, everything was going bad, and all this, and he went, "Oh, you're a real estate agent," and he was bracing himself, and this guy went, "This is the best time ever," and he was like, "What?" This is the best time ever. The economy's just terrible. I'm killing it because all my competitors are just all negative and here I am, right, and I'm saying there's enough business for everyone, and I'm positive, and people call me and I say, yes, I'll sell you that property, don't worry about that, and just because of his attitude.
Mm.
Okay, so I think you can thrive in any market. Okay.
Mm.
If it's too busy and the phone is going off, right, and you can't handle all the work, your network can help you there too.
Mm.
Does that
Mm.
make sense? So
Yep.
it doesn't matter what the economy is doing. If you have a solid network like you do when you participate in BNI, especially over a period of time, you can get stuff done. You can get things done, and yeah, when it's busy, you can hire staff. Why? Because you know the best HR consultants, right? I know Vanessa. She's amazing. She's hired some of my key people, right? If I need anything done, I contact Vanessa, right? She's my secret weapon. So yeah, you have a powerful network. Your life is easier, no matter what the market's doing.
And you touched on another one of the BNI values, Frederick, which is positive attitude.
Yeah, look, if you can't, be positive, stay away from people,
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I talked
right?
about it this morning. As you know, in each chapter meeting, there's an opportunity for a member to get up and talk about one particular value that's resonating with them. And I talked this morning and talked about positive attitude, and I just said you have a choice. You can either choose to be negative and complain and woe is me, or you can go, you know what, I'm going to get up, I'm going to embrace it, I'm going to immerse myself into this particular meeting and make this day the best possible day that I can. But each and every one of us has a choice, and I love the fact that one of BNI's core values is positive attitude.
And in fact, right, if you're not positive, right, in BNI, you might be asked to leave.
Mm.
You're bringing the whole room down,
Mm.
right? I remember there's this one time, I went to an event, and there was this guy who just was complaining about the breakfast, and it's like, okay, this is really important, but is this so important that you're prepared to lose business over it?
Mm.
And he was like, what?
Mm.
I was a bit worried, I was a bit forward. It was like, hey man, like forget about the breakfast. This is not about the breakfast. If you don't like the breakfast, eat before you come,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
But do yourself a favor.
Mm.
Don't talk about the breakfast,
Mm.
okay?
Mm. Mm.
Because it's got nothing to do with you and your business.
Mm.
And it's, if anything, you're going to offend somebody,
Mm.
and then I don't want to do business with you. Is that what you want?
Mm.
And he was like, yeah, okay then, but some people you can't explain it,
I get it. Can you share a powerful success story of a BNI member whose business was
Okay.
transformed through BNI?
Okay, so I have many stories, and I'm going
Yes.
to go to my very favorite one, okay?
Okay.
Because I think this is someone that I really, who's really cheeky and who's in your face in a positive way and full of beans. And um, one day, I was doing a one-to-one with her, and she said, Frederick, I said, tell me, what's the story? Because she started four different businesses in BNI. Okay. And on her fourth one, I said, what's this story? And so she said, well, I married this guy, right? And he's an electrician. I married this guy, and so we had the wedding and all this, and then a week later, after we came back, I said, okay, mate, you're going to quit your job, and we're going to start a business. And Tony, did you know that there's only 10% of businesses in Australia that have more than five employees?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Mm.
And in BNI, a full 33% of businesses have more than five employees. Did you know that?
Wow, no, I didn't know that. No.
So BNI is for big businesses, by the way.
Mm.
But let me continue.
Yep, yep,
So anyway, so she said, I went to the local chapter. And my husband was like, "What? I'm going to quit my job. How are we going to eat? All this sort of stuff." She went to the local chapter. She joined, and 2 weeks later, she came back and she went, "Here's 10 grand's worth of work."
wow.
So today,
Mm.
right? Last I heard, she had 12 employees.
Wow.
Okay. Now, that's what I mean, right? And, you can do this in BNI,
Mm.
right? You can do this. And she's did it four times.
Phenomenal.
Okay. So the first business brought her into BNI, and then she started another one, and
Yep,
then she started another one, and then
yep.
she's on her fourth one. So the network is very strong.
Mm.
And if you know how to work it, if you know how to be positive, if you know how to give and expect nothing in return, if you know how to build relationships,
Yep,
all of these values that we display everywhere, if
yep.
you can do all that and you want to grow your business and you want to create something really amazing for yourself and your family,
Mm.
think about it.
Yeah, amazing. What are the key traits of the most successful BNI members? I mean, you're talking about the values, but is there other things or key traits, Frederick, that the most
Yeah,
successful BNI members possess?
absolutely. Okay. So the first thing, okay, is that they're committed. They're really committed to whatever it is that they're doing. Okay. They're coachable. Okay. You'd know as a coach, you would know what that means, right? But if you know everything, okay, it's not going to work for you because, lifelong learning is is part of it because there's a lot of layers and if you want to grow your business, a different you needs to be
Of course.
around in a year's time, right? And
Yep.
so lifelong learning, coachable. Yeah, you need to understand sales,
Mm.
but you also need to understand relationships.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is not about selling to the room. This is about this is about selling through the room. So
Mhm.
the members that really are successful, they get that. They don't go into the room, sell to everyone, and leave, right? Because it didn't. That's not going to work. That's why they leave. People who think I'm going to sell to the room,
Mm.
right? It doesn't. It never works, right? You got to go to the room. You got to give, give referrals. Give your time to them, build relationships, and this will work for you
Mm.
if you have those traits.
I think also too, if you sell to the room, then you put a limit on yourself, right? You sort of hit the ceiling pretty quickly versus there's, exponential opportunities beyond the four walls of the room that you're in.
So if your chapter is at 30, right?
Yeah.
Everyone in the room knows 150 people so well
Mm.
that they could just go up to them in a bar
Mm.
uninvited and sit down and say,
Yep.
"Hey, how's it going?"
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So if it's 30 times 150, that's
Mm.
4,500 people right there.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
amazing. It's amazing.
And if you go
Mm.
one more, one more person,
Yep.
that's 675,000 people. You can accomplish anything
Mm.
through those people in that room
Mm.
if you know how to ask
Mm.
and if you know the conditions that make it appropriate for you to ask,
Mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
It's a
And
very powerful
so,
thing that when you talk about selling through the room. I think that's something we can all take out of this particular podcast.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what are the big goals for BNI Australia in the upcoming in the years ahead?
So, um, look, BNI, the only time in its history that BNI went backwards was just immediately following the pandemic. It was a difficult time in everybody's lives.
Mm.
But since then, we've we're today we're bigger than we've ever been in our history.
It's amazing.
Okay, and we're going to be over 7,000 members in just a few weeks. We're
Yeah.
just about there.
Yeah.
So if you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, BNI has grown in Australia for 25 plus years
Uh-huh.
and around the world 40 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's in the future? It's more growth,
Mm-hmm.
more growth. The members, you know, 12 months before the last 12 months generated $500 million worth of closed business for each other.
Wow.
Okay. This is new business.
Yep.
In the last 12 months, that increased by 20%.
Wow.
Yeah, to 600 million.
Mm.
Okay. And so more closed business is going to happen, as and it grows every year. So other than growth, that's pretty much it. Like we're just continuing because we're doing this really well. And the reason, by the way, the
Mm.
reason that we went so why we went up 20% is because there's a lag, between the time that the pandemic came in
Mm.
and our culture here, a lot of the stuff that we did in BNI
Mm.
kind of went off the rails.
Sure.
And then it took about, 18 months to 2 years for the culture to retake.
Yep.
And then suddenly, boom,
Mm.
the results came in.
Mm.
Okay. They gushed in
Mm.
fact.
Mm.
Does that make sense, Tony?
Yeah, look, so it makes absolute sense. Yeah, so obviously lag and lead indicators, and like you said, stuff that was happening back there just took a little bit of time to start to come back, and then like you said, we've gone bigger and better than we've ever been previously.
Mhm. Yeah,
Amazing.
and it takes time
Yep.
for our values to translate into culture.
Mm.
Okay, that's a moving feast.
Mm.
And the pandemic impacted on that.
Mm.
And and when people start doing, givers gain less well,
Mm.
this has an impact on our
Mm.
results.
Mm.
If people do relationships less well, which
Mm.
is what happened after the pandemic,
Yeah.
it impacts on our culture and then the results are less.
Mm.
Now they're back and I'm so happy about that.
Fantastic, and better things in front of us, which is exciting. And
Yeah.
just on that, I mean, is there any new initiatives or programs that members should be excited about, Frederick?
So we're heavily investing in AI. So as everyone is, I'm sure.
Yep.
So we've got some, really exciting. We just want to make it easier for everyone, right? Easier for members to upskill themselves,
Mm.
and easier for leadership teams to actually do their job really well.
Mhm.
So we want to make it really easy, or much easier for good practices to be readily available and really readily understandable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And we're going to use AI for that. And we are using AI already, but we're doing this organizationally as well. So that's one of the really exciting things that's happening.
Yeah, fantastic. And when do you anticipate that'll start to roll out, Frederick?
So, s- we're just what we're doing now is we went through the definition process, identifying the areas and then defining the requirements, if you like.
Mm.
And it'll come in the next few months,
Okay, great.
slowly but surely. Suddenly you'll have new tools, and yeah, we're really excited about it. I mean, there's already a few chatbots, but it's beyond that.
Sure.
We're thinking we're leaving no stone unturned in our innovation. Here we've got
Yeah, yeah, traditions and
traditions and
innovation. Yeah,
innovation.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we're strong on the innovation right now. We've got teams of people building this, and we're really excited.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that all come to fruition. Are there any other big opportunities that BNI members should be on the lookout for, for 25 and beyond, Frederick?
Absolutely. So uh, we have a global convention in Sydney in November. So if you've never been to a global convention, yeah, there'll be thousands of people from BNI all over the world.
Wow.
Okay,
Mm.
and that's an experience that's worth being a part of.
Mhm.
Um, if you have any ambitions for going global or
Mm.
doing business with people anywhere outside of Australia or within Australia, because we have hundreds of BNI members from all across Australia coming to this event.
Mhm.
Last I we have just under 400 already registered,
Wow.
and I know there's a lot of registrations to come yet.
Mm.
So this is going to be an amazing event, and yes, we're thinking about doing a speed networking attempt,
Mm.
a world record is what we're thinking of.
Mhm.
More on that. We're in negotiations with the Guinness World Record people, and if this is possible in any way, shape, or form, we might be doing that. What do you think, Tony?
I think
Can we do this?
I love it. As a
1,068.
matter, yeah, as a matter of interest, like, is there a world record now for us to beat, or?
Yeah, yeah. It's so our one of our alliances, which is Junior Chamber International, the JCI
Yeah,
organization, they set the record of 1,068 participants in 2014,
yeah.
and we think BNI should have the record. Is that
I
okay,
agree.
Tony?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 1,068. Oh, we should do that in a canter, hopefully.
Well, that's the plan. But look, we're not sure if it's possible yet because
Yeah.
it's not as easy as you think. Nothing is easy, Tony. Nothing is
No, no,
easy,
no.
right? It all takes a bit of effort, and if it's any way possible, look out for the announcements. Let's see if we. I know we can do it if it's possible. I think we will do it. Don't you?
Yeah, cool. I absolutely think we can. It's all
Absolutely.
about, starting with the end in mind, like coming up with that idea in the first place. And now that there's the idea there, you start to get people on board, and all of a sudden, we're all heading in the same direction. So no, it's exciting, and I look forward to seeing that come to fruition as well, Frederick.
Absolutely. Let's see how we go.
Yeah, great. Now, if you had to sum up the future of BNI Australia in one sentence, what would that
Okay.
sentence be?
So we're going to continue forever to change the way the world does business.
Ah,
Okay.
mhm,
Yeah, because we're serious about that. Business is about relationships, okay? It's not about dog eat dog. It's not about I do a deal and you do a deal and all this sort of stuff. Business is about relationships. And this is what we mean by changing the way the world does business.
mm.
Okay? It's
Fantastic.
about relationships. It's about giving first and expecting nothing in return. Is that okay? Yeah.
Fantastic.
That is
Fantastic.
the cunning plan,
Mm,
right, for business. If you want to succeed in business and in life, you give first and expect nothing back.
mm,
Watch what happens.
mm,
I've got, so many stories to back that up, personal ones and, ones from all over our community, of 7,000 BNI members right across the country. It's amazing. So that's what we mean by changing the way the world does business, Tony. We're serious about it, and that's what the future holds. We're never going to stop.
Fantastic, and it's exciting to be a part of. Now, look, we're coming towards the end of this podcast episode, but I've just got some rapid fire questions for you. So I'm just going to ask the question, and I'm looking for a quick response. There's four or so questions. So, one word to describe BNI.
Givers gain.
Your proudest moment as the owner CEO.
My proudest moment, it happens every day when I watch how our core values are turning into this amazing culture. I see it every day and I get goosebumps.
A BNI value you live by every day.
Look, givers gain. Sorry, I'm sounding like a broken record.
You don't need to apologize. One piece of advice for someone considering joining BNI.
So think about it carefully, and just be committed. Whatever you do, just be committed. Don't try this and see if it works. Listen to one of the podcasts that Tony's got in your profession if it's available, and just dive right in and and expect nothing in return. Watch what happens to you.
Amazing. Thanks, Frederick. I really appreciate it. Look, that wraps up another episode of the BNI Effect, and this has been a really special episode. So I hope that you enjoyed today's discussion with the CEO and owner of BNI Australia, Frederick Marcoux, for sharing his insights on where it all started with his father, right the way through to where it is today, and also where BNI is heading here in Australia. If you found value in today's episode, then don't forget to subscribe to the BNI Effect on your favourite podcast platform or on YouTube, and please leave us a review. Until next time, give more, trust more, and grow more.